My psycho roommate demands that I change my eating habits to be vegan only, as she is literally banning me from using any of the apartment's kitchen appliances unless it's used for specifically a vegan meal. And despite the fact that I've tried to talk to my roommate about this and find some kind of compromise, she has stubbornly said that I have no choice in the matter and I absolutely have to listen to her, putting me in a situation where honestly I really don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. So I recently moved into a new apartment with a vegan roommate who I will call Sarah. We split the rent 50-50 and the place came fully furnished, including all the kitchen appliances. Now at first things were really chill and just completely normal, but then Sarah started making some pretty unreasonable demands. She told me I'm not allowed to use the oven, the stove, or even the microwave for any non-vegan food. Apparently she's worried about cross-contamination and her food coming in contact with any animal products. Look, I totally respect her lifestyle choices, but I'm not vegan myself. I didn't sign up to have my diet policed or to be banned from using appliances that I'm paying for too. When I tried to talk to Sarah about it, suggesting maybe we could designate certain cookwares as like vegan only or work out a schedule for kitchen use, she just shot me down. She said if I want to live there, I need to adhere to her vegan standards in all the common spaces. She seriously expects me to completely change my eating habits and only store vegan approved food in the fridge that we share. But I told her I thought that was completely unfair and it was disrespectful to impose her beliefs on me like that. We both pay equal rent, so I should have equal access to the amenities. She called me selfish and intolerant for not respecting her boundaries. And right now I'm at my wit's end. I don't want to create a hostile living environment, but I also refuse to be dictated to about what I can and can't eat in my own house. It's not like I'm shoving burgers in her face. I just want to be able to cook my own meals without a guilt trip. So seriously, am I the jerk for pushing back on my roommate's demands that I follow her vegan rules in our shared kitchen? I feel like my own rights and comfort matter too, because right now I'm honestly frustrated and I don't know how to handle this. Okay, first and foremost, this is some crazy behavior. If Sarah's got some like specific dietary restrictions, then congratulations, that's for her to deal with and not you. She has no right to ban you from doing things in the kitchen because you share that kitchen. You're paying the rent just like anybody else, which means that you have every right to use the kitchen appliances however you want. So for her to sit there and be like, I don't want any cross-contamination, like dude, that's totally understandable, but that is your responsibility. It's not up to the original poster to be like, okay, let me make sure I just only bring vegan approved food in here, I guess. Like, no, I'm gonna bring whatever I want in there and there's nothing you can do about it. So I know for a fact if I was in your shoes and I was dealing with a roommate like this, I would carry on like normal. They can't evict me, they can't do anything about it, and the fact that they're being so aggressive and hostile already, in my opinion, is more than enough proof that they are completely unreasonable and there's no negotiating anything with them. So I would carry on like normal and do whatever I want, because them expecting you to go vegan just to eat in your own kitchen is crazy behavior and that is not something that you should put up with. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for trying to find out why I was blocked by two of my friends? Because after I got the cold shoulder and literally no information, I started to get really pissed off and really just wanted to know what was going on, putting me in a situation where it really made me look like the bad guy, despite the fact that I didn't do anything wrong. And at this point, I'm frustrated and I just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so I was recently sent a message out of the blue from a friend, simply stating, I wish you the best, but I have to block you. And yeah, this really caught me by surprise, as only a few days ago, we called and everything seemed perfectly fine. And while it is true that we are far from how close we used to be, we were still friends. I was extremely worried. I don't know what was happening and I wasn't sure if I somehow did something wrong or something is wrong on their end. So I decided to reach out to a friend who is very close to this person. I've not talked to them in a couple of months, but that is not unusual with me. I sent a message simply saying hi, explaining the situation, and asking if they knew anything, but I didn't get a response. After a couple more days, I went to check and I saw that this person had read the message. I decided to reach out again, highlighting that I'm very stressed out about this and that any sort of response would be helpful. But even still, yet again, I got no response at all. I left this for a while and sure enough, when I came back, it was also read but still with no response. At this point, I was desperate. I said that I was not sure why I'm being kept in the dark, but this is really affecting me. If there's a problem with me, I should at least have some kind of understanding of what I did. And predictably so, they read it but still never responded. it. I then messaged one final time, saying that I was getting fed up. At this point, I feel like you are intentionally hurting me. I felt it was pretty crappy to just ignore, knowing full well that I was so worried and stressed out. It's a completely avoidable thing. Well, finally, later on in the same day, I got a message from both of these people. Both of them basically saying that I should have just let it go, and that I don't need to talk to the original person at all, and that apparently I was harassing them. I got a sort of explanation simply saying that they were moving on, and they did not need me, and that's that. They claimed they had no animosity, but they were still moving on. But even still, they think it was very wrong of me to try and find out what was happening. And while I understand I should not have gotten short with them at the end, I truly don't think I did anything wrong. So seriously, am I the jerk here? Because I don't know what to do. Okay, if I'm being completely honest, I think these people are terrible friends and you are absolutely dodging a train. First of all, you have every right to find out. You literally were talking with this person the other day and everything was fine. So for them to turn around and be like, I'm sorry, but I'm blocking you. I can't do this anymore. Like, that is stupid and so crazy in my opinion. There's just no good excuse. It doesn't make any sense. It really is just immature and in my opinion, just super crazy. And I'm right there with the original poster. I can't stand when people give the cold shoulder, especially when it comes to something that they initiated. They literally never explain anything that you did wrong, and they're just trying to be like, we're trying to move on with our lives. Please stop bothering us. You should have let this go. But it's like, dude, you literally set the hook and said, oh, I'm blocking you, and I'm not going to explain why. See you later. Have fun wondering what you did. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Are you like in 8th grade? Like, you can't have an honest conversation? Because from the sounds of it, the original poster didn't do anything wrong. They were literally still friends with this person just a few days ago. Things were fine, and it's like, okay, we're still friends, even if we're not as close as we used to be. So for them to suddenly be like, I wish you the best, but I just have to block you, that shows a distinct lack of emotional maturity, and that is so annoying. So no, you're not the jerk. I think this is such stupid behavior, and I think you had every right to find out what was really going on with your friend, because their behavior is dumb and you didn't deserve that. Am I the jerk for walking away from my register at work, all because my relief cashier refuses to show up on time, as I'm constantly expected to work off the clock, while my relief cashier doesn't ever get in trouble for being late, and I'm honestly sick of it and I don't know what else to do. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I'm a 35-year-old female and I work as a liquor store cashier at a grocery store. My shift usually ends at about 3:30 in the afternoon, but management expects me to stay until my relief arrives. The problem is that my relief consistently clocks in like 20 minutes late every single time. Meanwhile, I have never called out or arrived late myself. I've been dealing with this issue for about 3 years now. I've explained to each of my relief cashiers that their tardiness forces me to stay late, and while they do apologize to me, nothing ever changes. Also, I have reasons I need to leave on time that are frankly just none of their business. Yesterday, my relief once again wasn't there at 3:30. So at 3:38, with a long line at my register, I straight up told the customers somebody will be with you momentarily. I then informed the customer service that I had stayed as late as I could and there was a line waiting, but my relief wasn't there as usual, so I just went ahead and left. Management is well aware of this ongoing problem, by the way, but they don't do anything about it. No write-ups, no discipline, literally nothing. I've spoken to the store director and it was just completely brushed off. It's disrespectful to me and my time. Since they know the issue, management should schedule my relief to arrive by 3 o'clock in the afternoon so they're actually there by 3:30, and they should face consequences for their chronic lateness. It shouldn't fall on me to work extra unpaid time on a daily basis, all because they can't be professional. So am I the jerk for walking out when I'm like really needing to leave? Because right now I'm really pissed off. Oh man, you've been dealing with this for 3 years. No, you're definitely not the jerk. Even after 3 months, I would have lost my mind, dude. I would have been like, okay, I'm absolutely finding a new job if you don't do something about this. Because what do you mean I've got to stay after late and not get paid for the time I'm staying out late? Like, I'm not going to work off the clock. This is not a charity. I work here so I can make rent and have a life outside of work. So I don't think you did anything wrong. This should not fall on your shoulders. You should not have to suffer just because your coworkers don't care. Because management absolutely knew about this. And if they were good at their job, they would have fixed this a long time ago. Am I the jerk for quietly leaving a group plan after being left out of any of the group conversation and any of the plans? Because right now they're trying to twist this against me in a way that makes me look bad, despite the fact that I didn't do anything wrong. And now I don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. I want to start off by saying that I'm not sure if I handled this the right way, so I'm here kind of just for an outside perspective. Last weekend, a small group of 5 friends made plans to meet up for dinner and then walk around a local street fair. The plan itself was casual, but it was something that we had all agreed on earlier in the week. So So I cleared my evening for it, and the day of, we were coordinating through a group chat. I then messaged asking what time we were meeting and where exactly, but no one responded. About 15 minutes later, I saw two people in the chat sending memes to each other, so I figured that they had seen my message and would answer soon, but they didn't. I then sent a follow-up about 20 minutes later, asking if any of the plans had changed, but still I got nothing. At that point, I assumed that maybe everyone was already together and just forgot to loop me in, but I didn't want to jump to any kind of conclusions. I went ahead and I drove to the general area we talked about, thinking that I'd figure it out when I got there. So I parked, I walked around for a bit, and I kept checking my phone. Eventually, I saw on social media that two of them were already at a restaurant nearby. I didn't want to cause a scene or make things awkward, so instead of confronting anyone, I just went home. I didn't announce that I was leaving or send a passive-aggressive message. I figured it was better to cool off and talk about it later. The next morning, one friend messaged me asking why I ghosted the plan and said it was rude to disappear without saying anything. I explained that I had asked multiple times for details, and I didn't get a response. Plus, I didn't feel comfortable showing up uninvited once it seemed like things had already started without me. They said I should have spoken up more directly, and that leaving without saying anything made it look like I didn't care. I said it felt like I was already being sidelined, and I didn't want to beg for attention, and now the group feels a little tense. Some friends think I overreacted and should have just walked up to them anyways, while others say it's reasonable not to chase people who aren't responding. I didn't intend on punishing anyone. I just didn't want to force myself into a situation where I clearly wasn't being included. So am I the jerk for quietly leaving instead of pushing my way into the plan? What should I do? Okay, in my opinion, if I'm not invited to something or it looks like I'm being left out, then that is probably going to be the last time I spend any kind of significant time with any friend group. Holy crap, I read the writing on the wall immediately and I say, oh, okay, these people don't actually like me and they don't actually want me there. So I'm not going to waste my time showing up if I'm not explicitly welcome. Also, it is so confusing to me that your friends are trying to be like, why didn't you reach out? How dare you leave and ghost us like that? It's like, dude, you are looking for reasons to complain. You're trying to make me the bad guy when I didn't do anything wrong. The original poster messaged in the group chat. They said, hey, where are we meeting up? What's going on? And nobody responded. That's not their fault. That is literally all the other people's fault for not reaching out and being like, oh, we're over here, come and join us. And instead of owning up to it as bad planning or whatever, they're trying to make you look like the bad guy as if you did something wrong, when it was pretty obvious they didn't want you involved. They didn't tell you what restaurant they were going to. You literally had to do social media detective work just to know what's going on. And I don't know about you, but if a friend acts like that, that's a clear indication that, yeah, they do not like me and they're not actually my friend. Because any real friend would be like, oh my gosh, hey, I'm sorry that we didn't get back to you. This is where we're at. I'm saving you a seat. Come and join us. Or something like that. Instead, they just kind of left you out of the loop and then was like, oh wow, you left because you didn't feel included? That's really toxic. But in reality, it's the other way around. So no, you're not the jerk, and these supposed friends are not good people. And in my opinion, you can find much better friends than this. My boyfriend said that I had 1 week to move out of his house after we had an argument. But after I called him on his bluff and got out of there, I'm starting to wonder if maybe I overreacted here. Because right now, I can't help but feel that I made a mistake, and I seriously am not sure what else to do. Here's what's going on. I'm a 30-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend for about 5 months now. During this time, he consistently pressured me to get him added to the guest list of a wedding that I was a bridesmaid in, which took place earlier this month. And just for the record, he didn't know anyone who would be attending this other than me. This wedding started being planned over 2 years ago, and I felt weird asking to have him added to the guest list. So I kept telling him that I don't think it would be possible, and he kept getting angrier about it. And let me tell you something, he was not happy when I left on the day of the wedding. Now, the wedding went great, and I wound up having quite a bit of champagne since I was with friends and we were celebrating. By the end of the night, I didn't feel safe to drive home, and this was about a 40-mile drive. So I called him to let him know that I was going to stay with my friend, who I will call Lauren, and I would be home in the morning. Well, he was very upset that I wasn't coming home, and we got into a fight over the phone. At one point, while I was on the phone outside the venue, a group of people walked by and they stopped to ask if I was okay, and when my boyfriend heard me responding to them, he got even more upset and started demanding to know who I was talking to and saying, "Who are you talking to? I'll take them out right now." A couple minutes after this, Lauren came outside, and after listening to a few minutes of my conversation with my boyfriend, she gently took the phone and calmly explained to him that she was taking me home and putting me to bed, and that I would talk to him in the morning. When I got home earlier the next morning, he had locked me out of our bedroom and would not let me in. When he finally came out, he coldly said to me, "You have 1 week to get out of my house." And then he ignored me for the rest of the day. This really freaked me out. So I talked to Lauren, who said that I could stay in her guest bedroom while I looked for a new place to live. When he realized I was actually going to leave, he backtracked and told me to stay and said that we could work on a relationship, but I decided it was better for me just to move out. The day I moved out, he was being very physically menacing and trying to block me from packing. Things got so bad that I wound up needing to call a police escort so that I could safely gather my things and leave. The day after I left, he said that I had 5 days to mail his house key back through registered mail with a $10,000 insurance policy on the parcel. And if I didn't do this, he would send the police to my workplace. So honestly, am I overreacting for feeling unsafe and leaving this guy? And also, am I the jerk for not giving him an invite to the wedding? Me being there without him is what really brought all of this to a head. And I feel like it's my fault for not finding a way to get him invited, since he likes to spend as much time with me as possible. He has also gotten upset in the past when I've wanted to hang out with friends without him and kept me from doing it. He sticks around the house every day as his work schedule is hybrid and flexible until I've left for work, and then makes sure that he's back home again before I am, and gets upset if I want to stay up and read or watch TV instead of going to sleep with him when he's ready for bed. And before anyone says it, yes, I totally understand that I moved in way too soon. I first met him almost 3 years ago, and we became casual friends, but only started officially dating 5 months ago. I thought I had a good sense of what kind of person he was. My lease was ending, and he asked me to move in, and I took him up on it because I thought I knew him, but his behavior definitely changed a lot after I officially moved in with him. But I still shouldn't have moved in with him in the first place because it was way too fast. So am I in the wrong? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, holy crap, this guy is a train wreck. Trust me when I say this, you're not the jerk, you're not doing anything wrong, because this guy sounds like a controlling freak. Like, the only reason he wanted to be at that wedding was so that he could police who you do and don't talk to. Like, this guy's even saying, "Oh, you either give me back my house keys, or I'm gonna send the police to your place of work." Like, dude, get a life, what are we talking about right now? So yeah, you didn't do anything wrong, your boyfriend was a complete weirdo, and it's probably for the best that you got out of there sooner than later. Did I overreact by moving out after my ex-roommate admitted to me that he put grass in my pillow just to prove that I wasn't allergic to it? Because this entire situation escalated in a way that was completely inappropriate and honestly incredibly stressful. And at this point, I don't know if I made a mistake. Here's how it all went down. About 4 months ago, I was living in a 4-bedroom house in college with 4 other people, 3 girls and 1 guy. The guy was dating one of the girls, and at the time, I genuinely thought they were my best friends. The couple, before we all moved in together, had literally asked me that when they get married to be the maid of honor at their wedding. So this wasn't just a roommate situation to me. They were my best friends and my friend group. Well, things started going downhill at the beginning of summer after I said I didn't feel comfortable mowing the lawn because I'm allergic to grass. When I'm around it, my eyes swell up, I get super itchy and red, and my skin normally gets quite itchy too. I wasn't trying to get out of doing chores, but I did tell them that come winter, that I will literally do a lot of the shoveling as I don't mind the cold and I love the snow. For the last few weeks I lived there, I was waking up every morning with red, itchy, swollen eyes, and I just assumed it was something in the house. One of my roommates, the girlfriend of the guy, knew exactly how bad it was. She literally went to Walmart with me to buy eye drops because my allergies were so bad. I had also started taking my allergy medications twice a day. I had an air purifier going in my room at all times, and I was either showering or wiping myself off every night before bed and was still waking up with red, itchy eyes. Eventually, I decided to vacuum my pillows to try and get rid of whatever was triggering it. While I was carrying the vacuum upstairs, the guy I live with asked if I wanted to hear something funny. I said sure, thinking it was going to be some harmless joke, but instead, he casually told me that he had put grass in my pillow to prove that I wasn't allergic. And when he said this, I just froze. He knew about my allergy. His girlfriend knew too. She had watched me suffer for weeks and still knew about it. Realizing that someone I trusted intentionally went into what we all deemed as our private spaces in the house, namely our rooms, and did something to intentionally harm me has been definitely a shell-shocking experience to say the least. I then decided to move out after that, and things somehow got worse. The first time I went back to the house to move all my belongings into my bedroom and install a keypad lock on my door, the guy was the only one home and called the cops on me for trespassing, even though I was still on the lease at the time and legally allowed to be there. The second time I went back was to move all of my things out completely. I had a lot of people there with me, by the way, to help me move out, as I wanted to be out out of there as quick as possible. During that visit, they called the cops again, and this time it was for harassment because apparently my dad called the guy a complete wimp. Now that obviously wasn't the best move on my dad's part, but no charges were filed and nothing came of it. Now I do know this is only from my perspective, and I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible, but I also want to share that they never apologized once to me, and even tried to validate their actions by saying I made them uncomfortable by saying I could hear them talking in their room while I was in my bathroom, even though the two rooms literally share a wall. I've now been taken off my lease and have been going to therapy for the last 4 months. I also now live alone in a studio apartment. I just needed to let this out somewhere because I literally am still just so confused as to how he even thought this was okay on any level. So what would you have done in this situation? Because right now I'm honestly still really pissed off. Okay, I'm just gonna say it, this is some crazy behavior. This guy knew about your allergy and still tried to be like, oh, you don't like the grass, huh? Well, I'm gonna prove you wrong by putting grass in your pillow and making you have an allergic reaction every day. Let's see how you like it. I knew you were faking it. Meanwhile, his stupid girlfriend is literally going with her all over the place to get eye drops and like getting medicine, clearly not relaying this information to her idiot boyfriend. Like, what is wrong with these people? These people are actually stupid. And I say that as nicely as I can because holy crap, there's not a single brain cell bouncing around inside of that skull. If someone says they have an allergy to something, this is not a chance for you to be like, oh, I can't wait to prove you wrong. I'm gonna show that you're actually faking it and you don't want to actually just mow the lawn. This is like trying to prove someone doesn't have a food allergy by intentionally giving them like, I don't know, shellfish or something like that. Like, why would you do that to someone? Like, why not just take it at face value and be like, oh, I totally understand. I'll take care of mowing the lawn and you can shovel the driveway or something like that. Why go on this weird crusade to be like, oh, I knew you were faking it. I've been putting grass all over your bed. Man, I can't believe you fell for it. What an idiot. But the icing on the cake here that proves these people are super toxic is this guy calling the cops on you every time you tried to move out. Like, seriously, this is some stupid behavior. You're literally just trying to leave and this guy's making it as hard as possible. So yeah, if I was in your shoes, I would have left as well and not looked back, because anybody who agrees with this guy and somehow aligns with his idiot decisions, in my opinion, is just as bad and is definitely someone I would never want to associate with. A group of entitled jerks demand that we give up our table at a restaurant so that they can take it over. Things get so weird that they end up getting physical with me and my friend, basically by pushing us out of the way so that they can steal our table and use it for themselves. Here's what happened. So this happened a week ago today, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I got dinner with a friend who I had not seen for months. We chose a local restaurant that's known for its great food and beautiful outdoor dining area with a stage. It's a popular spot for all ages, but especially for the older crowd when certain local bands are playing. When we arrived, the patio was mostly empty, and the hostess seated us at a 4-top table in a corner right by the stage. By the time we had received our appetizers, the patio was a little busier as a band was going to be starting in about 30 minutes, but there were still a lot of empty tables. Just as the server was bringing our meals, the entitled older couple of this story and a few of their friends walked right past the hostess stand that had a very clear wait to be seated sign and took a table next to ours. We got maybe a couple of bites down when the man of the group came up and asked if he could borrow one of the empty chairs at our table. Now, we told him that was no problem, but instead of taking a chair, he took a couple of steps and stood right behind me, breathing right down my neck, and was trying to talk to us. I was pretty uncomfortable and I just hunched my shoulders. I said to him, "Sir, we're in the middle of a conversation." He then loudly responded by saying, "Well, I don't want to take the chairs with your purses in it," while also trying to pat my shoulder at the same time. I then twisted away and I said, "Okay, well, the other chair's empty, take that one." But when I said that, he laughed and just repeated, "I don't want to take the ones with the purses." He then literally picked up that chair, forcing me to grab our purses off of it as he walked away. My friend and I just shook our heads at each other and returned to our meals. Then the wife of this couple came up and started speaking angrily, gesturing at the stage. I couldn't hear what she was saying, and the husband gently pulled her away, saying, "Enjoy your meals, ladies. No rush, but you know." And then he laughs as he jerks his head towards the woman with him. I asked my friend if she knew what the lady had been saying, but she just shook her head. And then I noticed the woman glaring at us from their table, one even pointing at us. So I turned my chair so they weren't in my peripheral vision anymore, and I focused on my meal and my conversation with my friend. Well, the entitled Karen of this couple and her friends continued to go out of their way to make us uncomfortable. They were glaring and making rude comments at us. They were accidentally bumping our table if they had to go to the restroom, which, by the way, was the opposite direction of where our table was compared to theirs. It was so ridiculous and childish. From their comments, we finally realized they wanted wanted our table since it was closer to the stage. Now, there were plenty of other tables still open, including one directly in front of the stage, but they wanted our table. Now, my friend and I are both currently taking a break from alcohol, so we weren't drinking and we weren't being loud. We weren't even taking up that much space. We were just catching up over some food and had been planning to stay and listen to the band for just a little bit. We had rightfully been seated there by the hostess and had every right to enjoy our night. But by the time we finished our food, we were both over these idiots' BS and just wanted to go home. We paid just as the band was beginning to tune their instruments. And as we stood up, my friend walked around the table to stand next to me. But as I was taking a moment to count our tip and setting the little tray with my tip on the table, two of the women in that group came up and one of them elbowed me out of the way as they grabbed the table and pulled it against theirs. Now, I was about to go off on them about how rude they were, but my friend, who is much more patient than I am, put her hand on my arm. So I just set my tip on the table, raised my hand in the air and said, "Okay," and I just walked away, loudly grumbling about these entitled jerks. I still feel like I should have said more, especially since the one lady actually elbowed me out of the way before I had even stepped away from my chair. But also, I could not wrap my head around adults behaving that way, and I just don't know what I would have said. Because at the end of the day, there were so many other tables available, and these entitled jerks just simply had to take ours. Oh man, if that was me, I absolutely would have complained. I would have gone up to the server or some kind of manager and been like, "Listen, these people are actively bullying me, my friend. Like, this is not okay. Something has to change." Not to mention this guy literally breathing down your neck and like right up in your business. Like, that would have driven me crazy. There's no way I would put up with that. So sure, your friend's super patient and they were trying to just help out, but if that was me, I absolutely would have said something, because that kind of behavior is completely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for refusing to take my turn in hosting family dinners? All because everybody always bails out when it's my turn. Because right now I'm very frustrated and I don't know what to do. Okay, so I come from a family that values big Sunday dinners, and we've always rotated between whose house we gather at. The idea is that everyone contributes by hosting one of these dinners, but recently it feels like I'm the only one actually holding up my end of the bargain. Every time it's my turn to host, my siblings and even my parents seem to come up with last-minute excuses to skip. The last time I prepared a full meal, and my sister canceled an hour before because she just wasn't feeling well, and my brother had work stuff. I spent hours prepping the food, and even made special dishes that everybody usually loves. This has happened several times now, and I'm starting to feel like my effort isn't being appreciated at all. Last week it was my mom's turn to host, and everyone showed up without any excuse or last-minute cancellation. But now my turn is coming up again, and I don't feel like going through all the effort when no one ever shows up. When I told my family that I was thinking of skipping my turn and letting someone else host, they all got upset with me. My dad said I was being dramatic and that it's just how family is sometimes. But I can't help but feel like I'm always the one getting the short end of the stick. So am I the jerk for refusing to host family dinners when no one else ever shows up to mine? Because right now I am seriously frustrated. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, and honestly, I don't blame you for being like, "No, I'm not doing it this time." These people are not even showing up to your dinner. You're spending your time and money getting this all prepped, and no one's even bothering showing up. Like, if this happened one time and it was just like a weird extenuating circumstance, then sure, this wouldn't be totally out of the ordinary. But it's the fact that this only happens when you host, in my opinion, is a big red flag. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, because if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Would I be the jerk if I dropped someone as my friend after she's changed so much all because she got married? Because right now I feel very left out, and at this point I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I've been friends with this girl who's 20 years old for maybe about 7 years. We live in different cities now, but we do stay in touch. But in the last year and a half, I've noticed that I'm putting in way more effort than she is. And overall, I noticed that when we talk, she quickly shifts the conversation to talk about herself. A year ago, she got really dependent on her new family lifestyle, and I was on the phone with her for hours a day because she didn't have people to help her in the stress of her soon-to-be wedding. And I was going to be at her wedding, but unfortunately, I got COVID. I still helped how I could, and I went through the effort of putting together a big package and mailing it to her as a wedding gift for her and her husband. She then quickly got pregnant, and she was always complaining about morning sickness and all this other stuff. I know it's really tough, but again, she barely acknowledged when I was talking about my life. Fast forward, and when she gave birth, I set up a surprise delivery of flowers and a gift for her. Now, last week it was my birthday. She knew about this, and I had posted a bit of it on my story as well, which she was watching all day. Now, I know she has her hands full with her 2-month-old child, but she still couldn't take 5 seconds to send a small text message. And I know being a new mom is exhausting, but she has a whole team caring for her, the baby, and her home, all while she's already been on 2 vacations since giving birth. And she's always active on social media, and I am happy that she does have the luxury of having time for herself. Overall, I don't agree with the path that she set up for herself, and before her marriage, I tried to voice my concern to her, but it is her choice and I never brought it up again. But she never finished college, she never had a job, and she gets an allowance from her husband and was even prepping for a baby before the wedding. And when I spoke about my life and work, she was always shocked at how much work I had and bragging that she doesn't have to do anything. But I worked hard and I'm now financially independent with a good job and a bachelor's degree at 20 years old. In contrast, she has absolutely no safety net. She has no education and no money. She has no work experience and no parents to rely on. So hopefully this man is always good and fair to her. But the reality is that so much goes wrong in life and in marriage these days, and if something does happen, she will have an incredibly hard time trying to stand on her own 2 feet, which was my concern. And if it does, she's gonna have an incredibly hard time. It's not that I don't understand that she has bigger priorities now, it's that she expects me to cheer her on in her life while not even trying to care about mine. I'm happy for her new little family, and I get how hard it can be being a new first-time mom, but this seems like a very one-sided relationship now. And although this relationship isn't serving me, I feel bad about dropping her. I'm tired of listening and supporting, but getting nothing in return. Especially since COVID, I just think that many have felt the decrease in relationships, as well as the people around them just as much as I have. So would I be the jerk if I dropped her as a friend? What should I do? Honestly, I kinda do think you're the jerk in this situation, because you're coming off as incredibly selfish. She literally has started her new family, and you're trying to be like, wow, but what if her husband divorces her? She's not gonna have a leg to stand on. And it's like, what are you talking about? There's not even a hint of that happening,